On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, we have our Stanley Cup Final, and it is a rematch. Is a rematch a good thing? Let's talk about it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. And if you want to get in on the conversation, then join our subtext. Link is in the show notes below. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related or Stanley Cup related, and share it on this very podcast. We will get to Joel Kiviranta's season grade. Our subtexters chime in on that. And we already looked at free agent centers. Today, we will look at free agent left wingers. So we'll do that in a little bit as well. But we should we just play the chicken theme? What is that thing?
The left wingers, right wingers.
But we do have our Stanley Cup Final, so we got to kind of lead with that for right now. And because it doesn't matter who the matchup is in the Stanley Cup Final, it's always a big deal because that's your championship matchup. And for this one, we got what we got last year. So we got a second helping of Edmonton Oilers and Florida Panthers. And we all know how it went last year. Florida won the first three. Here comes Edmonton on a run. They won the next three. It goes 7 games where the Panthers finally win it. So they are going for their back-to-back championship, which if they get that, they're on the cusp of that whole dynasty talk, even though they made 3 in a row. And for Edmonton, the big storyline for them is the Connor McDavid aspect. He needs a cup to be in the conversation but at the end of his career. And you would argue maybe it's unfair to him. He would need multiple ones. So it's not like he's running out of years. He's still very young, but to get that first one locked away as early as possible would benefit him. So let's start with the cup matchup in general. And the question that I asked at the top of the episode is having a rematch a good thing? Are those good things to have?
I don't see it as honestly the worst thing for the NHL because it's the championship for the league. So if you're bringing in, because there's really no other sports other than the NBA, you got MLB, but it's in the ebbs and flows. Nothing's really going on in baseball. Like if you're pulling in the average fan, the football fan that's really scrammer, like looking for something to watch, you say, hey, the best player in the NHL versus really the best team, top to bottom in the NHL in a rematch. Last year was an epic. You got it again this year. Could Connor McDavid finally get his title? Can Florida become a dynasty? This is, it's what you want in sports. It's a good story. It's something you want to engage in. For the rest of the league, it's kind of par for the course. Like, everybody knew about Edmonton. Everybody's always known about Connor McDavid. Is it really thrilling me? Would either team winning the Stanley Cup send it to the moon, be an all-time classic? Doesn't really move the needle much for me either way. But it's, as a general health of the league story, I think it's good.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything bad about a rematch. Well, I guess maybe look at it this way. Is there a better matchup to be had among the teams that lost in the conference finals? Like if Dallas made it, would that be more interesting to you if it was Dallas, Florida, or would it be Dallas, Carolina? Would that be more interesting? And then the flip side would be Carolina, Edmonton. Would that be? I don't know. I think you could make a case for any of the matchups, but when you do have a back to when a team is going for back-to-back championships, forget how I feel about it. Like those usually bring in people. Those usually the league wants ratings, and when a team is going for a back-to-back, typically will bring in ratings. When it's the same exact matchup, people kind of maybe will be like, let's see if the team who lost last year can avenge that. And then when you add not only is the team avenging it, you have the Connor McDavid thing. When finals revolve around matchups and star power. And when you have one of, if not the best player, two of the best players in the league, everybody knows McDavid, Draisaitl is what he is too, but McDavid is the name.
Mm-hmm.
And when those guys are going for championships, people will tune in. And when they lost it last year and they're going up against a team that beat them last year, I think this is going to be I don't think this is going to like break records or anything like that, but I think this is going to be a good rating final for the NHL. I would be surprised if it drops, but I want to be interested. I want to see what the first couple games bring.
Yeah,
like, sure. Like if this thing goes 7, like those are the games that really bring in the audience. Will the audience be there for all of it is the question, because you get people that are like, oh, these 7-game series just go too long. I'm going to tune in when a team can win it. When a team gets 3 wins, then I'll start tuning in. It could be that too, but I think it's good. I think it's good for the league because you have the star power, you have the stories, it's all there.
And what you didn't get last year, you get a sprinkling of Brad Marchand.
I mean, we're talking about McDavid, but on the Panther side, you have Barkov and Reinhart. Obviously, Matthew Tkachuk is on there. So people know him.
And that you
Brad
carry
Marchand.
that over from the Four Nations, like to capture some of that crowd. Put that in your promotional marketing. Like, hey, you remember that fun time we had with the Four Nations? Well, check out the Stanley Cup. A lot of the names are still here. I wish and I hope the NHL does that to get a lot of the fringe fans.
Mm-hmm.
But again, and like you mentioned, like, is there another matchup between teams that were in the playoffs? Like, you could have easily sold the Dallas Carolina Stanley Cup Finals as like the Mika Rantanen Bowl.
Yeah, that would have been
Like you could have had.
But I think that would have been a little bit limited, but
that would have wore off after the first game. But honestly, and if you're bringing in fans from this Four Nations tournament, to have a back-to-back with the same 2 teams and the same kind of talent, I think it's good because this is a lot of fans starting off point with the game of hockey. Like, we've been here. We're OGs. We've been here since the 90s. But a lot of fans are coming in, checking out hockey for the first time, and this is what they are viewing as the powers of the NHL. These are the upper echelons. They haven't been here through the ebbs and flows. They just know Edmonton is good. Florida is good because they're always there. And this is a good starting off point because you got Connor McDavid. You have, honestly, the blueprint for how teams should be built in Florida. This is good for the health of hockey and the fandoms going forward. I think it's good, but it's not thrilling for all of those. Back in my day, we had Patrick Waugh and that Stanley Cup. But it's good. It's good for the health of hockey.
Use me as an example of for the NBA finals. I don't have interest in that. I don't have, even though I watched the Knicks and Indiana impressed me. Like they looked like a really good team. I talked to my NBA people, and before that series was even decided, before Indiana put them away, they were telling me it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter between those 2 teams who goes up against Oklahoma City, because they're gonna win that. They'd be shocked if they didn't win it.
Yeah.
But even though they're saying that, if the Knicks went in, I would have watched because it's the Knicks. It's kind of it's a big market. It's the team I rooted for growing up. I would have interest in that. So for I'm trying to think of like if there's those type of people thinking about the Stanley Cup final, and you can sell them. Connor McDavid's in there. Like that is enough for people to be like, oh, okay, and he hasn't won one yet. Nope. I'm gonna see if what people tag the greatest hockey player on the planet hasn't won one yet. He's got another opportunity. 2 in a row that he's going, or back-to-back cups. He didn't win it the first time. It's all there. It really is all there. So I do want to see how these ratings go. I did throw us out to the Subtext crew to see what their picks were here. It was kind of back and forth here. You said, let's see, we got Lisa says, I'm rooting for the Panthers. No real reason other than I love their backup goalie, who you probably will not see unless something just goes really sideways. Given I want them to win it, it is a given. I see what you're saying. Sorry. Given I want them to win it, it's a given that the Oilers will win it. So she's kind of like playing some reverse psychology here. I'll say Oilers in 7, and Canada finally gets their cup. Good for Lisa. She's rooting for the Panthers, but she's going with her head on her prediction. I respect that.
I respect you too, Lisa, but don't give the cup to Canada. It's nice to have that and just say, another year.
You want that to keep going?
And I don't want the McDavid McKinnon conversation to the ebbs and flows and the momentum to go the other way.
Which Canadian team do you want to end the streak? Do you have one? I'm with you on Montreal. Although, I root for McDavid. I'm fine with him. I wouldn't mind him winning it in Edmonton. Edmonton would be up there for me. So would Toronto, obviously.
Montreal would be a nice story. Toronto does not deserve it. I want Montreal to come from, like, honestly, the ashes to come all the way back and win it again. Even though the Quebec-Montreal thing, I would stand back and say, much respect, good for you.
Montreal just has so many. Like, the whole Toronto angle is, being able to say, like, yeah, we saw it. It's a big deal. Big deal. Vargar says Anton Lundell in 6. He'll get the cup winner. Ooh. So he's going Panthers. Kay says rooting for Edmonton, and I think they can do it in 6. Though I will not be surprised if it goes 7. I see a lot of predictions that Florida will roll them, and I don't see it happening. I am with Kay. It's amazing how the beginning of these playoffs, so many people had Edmonton losing to LA. Like they were not playing like great hockey. They were playing okay hockey, but not great hockey. And that just shows you doesn't matter, Kyle. Doesn't matter how you're going into the playoffs. The Avs, the year they won the Stanley Cup, were limping into the playoffs. Dallas this year had lost 7 of 8, and they get to the conference finals. It doesn't matter. And then now they're playing fantastic hockey. I'm with Kay. I don't see Florida rolling over Edmonton at all.
See, I was one of those that thought Florida could roll Edmonton until that Western Conference Final. And then I saw that team come out and I was like, ooh, they got a different anger to them.
It's goaltending.
Yeah.
It is all goaltending, and that is no surprise. So if Skinner can hold his own, they'll be okay. We got Madam Battleaxe here, says go Florida, which I think she lives in Florida. So that no surprise there. Big Cats will take this in 6 games. Let the rats reign. Keep Stanley here. Yeah, she's in Florida. So I kind of predicted that one. Adam says McDavid is overdue. I think it's his turn. And finally, Zach, very simply, Florida. Doesn't say how many games. Doesn't say anything like that. Just Florida. What do you got, sir? I want your prediction here.
I say Florida in 7. And I feel like, and it's Florida in 7, and then the conversation about like how teams are constructed and like where the real power is shifts. I think Florida, I don't think they get enough appreciation for what they put together there. And I don't know what they have to do, but 2 in a row is going to have to command the respect of literally 31 other organizations.
I didn't even really bother to look up till just now. Who's got home ice in this? And it's Edmonton. So does that change your thing? No, still Panthers in 7.
Yeah.
I think this is gonna be tight. I do think this could go 7, and man, would it surprise me? It wouldn't surprise me either way. I think both these teams are playing very well right now. I think Florida's the better team overall, but it's just how are these guys playing? And what Edmonton did to Dallas just really, really impressed me.
Yeah.
Didn't think that thing was going to go 5. I thought that was a 7-game series too. So I think their confidence is sky high right now. And could they do it? Sure. Could the Panthers win back-to-back? Easily. But I'm an Edmonton man right now, man. I think Edmonton can do this. I think they can get it back in Canada.
One team could do it. One team has done it.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
This is your defending champion.
Well, there's something to be said for, when you have that championship, playing with that confidence of, it's 2 different confidence levels right now. Edmonton's just playing confident hockey, and the Florida Panthers have championship confidence behind them too. So
wouldn't know what that's like.
Nope. Well, we're 3 years removed from it, so it is wearing off though. Let's come on, boys. All right, let's get into some free agents, and we will take a look at the left wingers. We'll do that next. We're going to hear from FanDuel, the NBA playoffs in full swing. Obviously, we have your NBA final set, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. And FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Just gave our predictions for the Cup final. What's your prediction for? This isn't like sweep worthy, is it?
I would say, gentlemen, maybe this is in 5, but I'm going OKC. You'll never see me cheer for the Pacers, and OKC's got that Seattle Supersonics blood. So let's go OKC.
Yeah. I'm looking at the line for Game 1. Oklahoma City 9.5 point favorite. So I hope it's a sweep so we can get the NBA out of the way, and then everybody's watching NHL hockey. So that's what I want. So if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. And if it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. So make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, so let's continue talking about some free agents. We did centers, like it was Thursday's episode of last week, and we'll do left wingers today. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Avs do for this particular position, because it's what they need to address, if anything, is the depth here. Mm-hmm. It's not like they need anybody that they got to throw a ton of money at to fill a hole that somebody has left. You should be set with your top 2 wingers in Lehkonen, and let's cross our fingers for every single game he plays with Gabe Landeskog. But those are your 2 left wingers. Where you maybe need to slot guys in is a third line, depending on what you want to do with Jonathan Drouin, and fourth line, which oddly enough, you could say Kiviranta is down there, but we'll talk about him in a minute. And he is a free agent, obviously. Yeah. What are you thinking here? I mean, we'll go through a list of guys, and it's weird how we'll look at this. Is not like, would the Avs bring them in? It's just like, do I like them? And if they fit is a whole nother conversation.
And see, that's the thing. When we were looking at the centers list, we were sitting here back and forth. We had about 3 in the pocket. We're like, ooh, this would be nice. This would be nice. When you're looking at the left wing free agent market, nothing is really thrilling me to the point of like, this is the Band-Aid to fix the Colorado Avalanche.
Right.
Like, nothing is moving the needle. Once again, I hate to break it to you, but the UFA market, they are old. There's some old left wingers out there, and nothing like this is one of those positions like you can address your depth probably from within, if not call up an eagle or 2. Maybe just retain who you have going back out. This is a position that you always feel like you're pretty okay with, and this is not really breaking things. And especially when you look at the free agent market, you're just like, yeah, I think we're okay.
As far as wingers go and who is signed for the Avs, like I said, so they got Landeskog, Lehkonen, Miles Wood is signed. You got Parker
First
Kelly.
Miles Wood mention of the offseason.
There you go. Parker Kelly is signed, even though he's left wing and a center. That's who is signed. As far as your free agents on the market, Jimmy Vesey, Jonathan Drouin, and Kiviranta. So you sign Drouin, you sign Kiviranta, and there's your 4 guys. You don't really need to dip into the UFA market. You could maybe just fill that void with AHL guys, or just move guys around if need be that can go play the position.
What's Abe Kubel doing?
What is he doing? He was let go, or not? He was put on waivers, I think, like towards the end of the year. But it's not a position that is pressing. If you don't, but here's the thing: like it said, you go to the flip side of that. If you don't bring back Jonathan Drouin, if you don't bring back Kiviranta, then you do. Like you do need something. You do need something somewhere. And like Kyle's saying, like none of them really jump off the page. But hey, neither did Kiviranta when he signed. It was more of, oh my God, the guy that scored a hat trick on them, they brought in. That was the talking point. And now look at it. Now it's like, hey, it would be nice to bring him back and fill a depth role. But here, I'm just going to go down the list for your left wingers. And this is starting with their most recent AAV. And it's not going to be where some of these guys are, because right at the top you have Jamie Benn, who made $9.5 million last year. Is not going to make anywhere near that, and I'm not going anywhere near that with a 20,000 foot pole.
Nope. Next,
next on the list is Brad Marchand, and I talked about him a little while ago. Like I have completely changed my tune on Marchand. I don't think the Avs have a need for him, because he's still a top 6 guy and they don't have a top 6 spot for him. And but I wouldn't be against it. I think it'd be fun.
He's you're at retirement spot. You're in Florida. Like if you want to call it quits after this year, that's where you want to stay. You don't want to be moving around at this part of your career. Like, no, he's staying in Florida.
Another one on here that I would love to have, but it's too much. He's going to want too much money, and again, not a need, because he's top 6 is Nikolai Ehlers on Winnipeg. Andrew Mangiapane is on there from Washington, 5.8 last year. Andrei Kuzmenko, I don't think he goes anywhere. I think the Kings want him back. And then we're at $3 million last year AAV with Jeff Skinner, who is currently still playing. Brock McGinn over on Anaheim. Tanner Jeannot, I think, is an interesting one. He hasn't lived up to, I don't want to say there was hype around him, but maybe the expectation. He had one good year with Nashville, I believe it was, and nothing since then. And it could be just, is it not the right fit for him, and he needs to find that right fit. I don't know, but is it someone they look at? Who knows?
No, I will tell you what the most Avalanche move will possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
2 UFAs coming up.
Mm-hmm.
1, Brandon Saad. 1, Matt Nieto.
I saw Nieto on there, and you got Saad too. So you're just doing the whole, like, we're just gonna circle the wagon here and bring these guys back. I mean, the Avs have done that in the past.
They do this every year.
Yeah,
they do this every year.
They're not immune to that, but
this will be the 3rd time doing it to Nieto.
They had an opportunity. I mean, Saad was open to everybody. He agreed to the contract termination. He could have went anywhere, and he went to Vegas. So, did they look at that? We don't know. I didn't really hear much that they did, but I don't think he was so committed to playing in Colorado that he needs to come back. This is not like an Eric Johnson thing where he was like beloved. Thought he was fine when he was here. Thought he was good, but I think that for Saad, it's one of the things that the ship has sailed. But who's the other one that you brought?
Matt
Nieto.
Personal fan favorite of mine.
Yeah. For reasons. Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I like Matt Nieto, but do I need to have him like come crawling back? Not necessarily.
That's where you get like at this part of the list of the UFAs, like that's what you're playing the game of. Like, I like him, but does this change the complexity? Does this improve the Colorado Avalanche going into next year? And the answer is really not really.
Yeah.
Like, if we're about to get into the grade, but like, I know Kiviranta was 700. He was league men last year.
He was. The funny thing is on the list that I look at, there's like 20 guys more than that with 775,000. He's at the very bottom of that list. He's the last one on the list. They don't do it I don't know how they do it. It's not alphabetical, but however they did it, it's just funny to see Kiviranta on the bottom of that list.
This honestly, this should be the new, and we'll get into it with the grade. This should be the new Nieto contract, the 1 year, $1 million. Come on back, we'll do it again, and you're fine.
I don't think that improves them though. If you bring like Nieto back, it's it's similar to like Eric Johnson. Like, I mean, did it really improve them? No, it improved the locker room. Are you doing that with Nieto? I'm
talking about Kiviranta. I'm taking 1 year.
Okay.
The 1 year, $1 million Kiviranta. Instead of giving that to Nieto every year, where like that was the first move every offseason. We re-signed Matt Nieto 1 year, $1 million. Now you're doing that to Kiviranta.
Doing this and looking at this list, it kind of just makes me feel like Jonathan Drouin is not going anywhere. I just feel like he if you look at as far as just the unrestricteds go for left wingers, for points per game, the only one that's better than him is Ehlers. And I know he only played 42 games last year, and that plays a big role in it. But again, like you get guys that are looking at analytics and things like that. I think they like where like Drouin's analytics compared to several other guys on this list. And that makes me just feel like it is a thin market. I think, and for the year he had last year, you don't have to go crazy, and he will probably give you a pretty good regular season. And is there other guys on this list that can make that money and give you kind of like that production, second best in free agents points per game, like 0.85 points per game? That's not bad.
But he's part-time. That's the big problem with the
But
Avalanche.
That's what you have to try to get. I completely agree with that. But they have to feel like, hey, like, is it just a fluke thing with him, or can he give us a full season? I think a lot of people answer that, be like, well, no. But man, like it's tough. You're tough pressing me on who's better on this list. That I don't know, man.
But see, that's the thing. I feel like if Drouin hit the market and any other Locked On show looking at this left wing list, they put him down there in Sod and Nieto category, like, oh, Drouin's available. Boy, it really didn't pan out in Colorado like you thought it would. It started out great, but just couldn't stay healthy. Well, moving on. Like, I feel like that's the story everywhere else. Like, we watched every game that Drouin played, but the rest of the league's like looking at the stats. They're not sitting there with a personal investment in Jonathan Drouin and this Nathan MacKinnon friendship. Like, I feel like that kind of inflates it a little bit. Like, if any other player, if it was Jonathan Smith that never met Nathan MacKinnon in a day in his life, and he gave you 46 games, you're like, the injuries are a problem. The Avs should move on. I feel like the storylines and the best friend this and what the potential of, and I feel like that adds to his value that honestly shouldn't be there. You got to have a player play with you all through the regular season and show up like you did not in the playoffs. And I feel like that's what they need to do for left wing.
It is it was a good storyline in the beginning when they got him, but that's over with. Like, because you're not going to be playing on a line with Nathan MacKinnon all that much if you come back next year. So you got to put up some points away from him. Do they have confidence that they can do that? We'll see. We'll see. But again, I just feel like looking at this list, it's slim.
Yep.
Slim. So
agreed.
One of the guys that we already talked about a couple times because he is a UFA is Joel Kiviranta. So let's end the episode with giving him his season grade. We'll do that next. We continue on with our season grades. We do them alphabetically. And we are up to K with Joel Kiviranta. And let me bring up his stats here because it's a pretty good year for him stat-wise, which, we always talk about it. Your depth guys, your number one thing on the list is not like their stats. It's all kind of bonus. It's all kind of gravy if they're able to kind of go off a little bit. And Kiviranta did this year. For the Avs, 79 games played. That is a career high. 16 goals. That is far and above a career high. Previous career high was 8. And 7 assists, which is also a career high. Twice he had 6 for a career high of 23 points and a career high of plus 15. Career high of time on ice, 12 minutes, 31 seconds. Are you seeing a theme here, Kyle? This was a great year for Joel Kiviranta in his second year with the Avs. So what do you got for a grade for him?
I give him a flat B.
Okay.
Deservedly so. And honestly, like, this kind of hints back at the conversation we were just having about the left wingers. Like, he had 79 games.
Mm-hmm.
Drouin did not give you that. And the thing that separates, and again, when you're looking at who do we give a contract to, who do we say, come back, let's do it again? I would give it to Kiviranta because he is clutch. And he does this thing that I don't think Drouin has mastered yet, and it's be effective without the puck.
Mm-hmm.
He is a force. There was a stretch about 2 or 3 weeks in the season. I want to say last year. I'm already distancing myself from that, but that he was just a force and a presence. Even if he didn't have the puck, you're like, I really like Kiviranta's game and what he's bringing to this team. Like, Drouin could go completely invisible. Kiviranta is just, he's a pest, and he's a motor, and he constantly is moving. I like him a lot, and he's complimentary. He doesn't need that my best friend's Nathan McKinnon thing. Like, Kiviranta could, whatever line you put him on, he settles in, and he could be a vital accessory. He's not going to take over any game.
No.
But
no.
I know everybody's pointing to the hat trick and I get that. In the playoffs, that was under a different jersey.
Sure.
Like, this is like, he's a good accessory to whatever line you have, and he can play without the puck, which are 2 huge, huge keys on this team.
He went, let's see, was it March 6th through, so for that game that was against San Jose, and then the next game against Toronto, and then the next game against Chicago, and then the next game in Minnesota, scored a goal. You get a guy on your fourth line that is at a 4-game goal streak. Did Nathan McKinnon do that this year? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, Ross Cole.
I'm maybe Cole. Yeah, I'm not trying to compare. Please, people, don't start slamming keyboards here. I'm just trying to make a point here. He had a really good season.
He did,
and that's why I gave him an A-. He's deserving of it. He, like, what did he do that that you're thinking like, oh man, like he's such a liability out there? No, he's the opposite. He really lifted up some lines in several games where you had a lot of games this year where the Avs, their best lines were the depth lines.
Yep,
and a lot of that is because of Kiviranta. So his second season with them, I thought was fantastic, and man, did he earn another contract with this team.
Yep.
But there's other teams out there too thinking like, oh, that Kiviranta guy had a really nice season. You look at those stats I just threw out, blew away career high numbers, blew him out of the water, and he's 29 years old. So yeah, I mean, he's still got some mileage on him to go, and I don't want to say it's like a bidding war of Mitch Marner, stratosphere, stuff like that. But you could get a couple teams that come out of nowhere and offer him a little bit more. And for a guy like that, the money might be enticing. for someone like Kiviranta, who maybe they offer him an extra $500,000 to $1 million per year, and he walks because of it. That's my concern, because I feel like he fits in really nicely here. He knows he fits in nicely here, but he's not a guy that makes 10, 12 million a year. So he needs to cash in now. This is his first UFA contract. That's my worry. That is my worry with him, because I would love to have this guy back. Hands down.
I think he benefits from this also being a year for Drouin going out, because this is somebody that on the depth lines, he thrives. Drouin, he dives. Like his value goes like through the basement. Kiviranta, this is where you expect him to be. So if it becomes one of those that people are looking at Kiviranta like, oh, is he turning things around? I would be fine with giving Kiviranta 1.2 and saying, hey, stay. I'd prefer you. We're not having to pay Drouin, because you're not going to say Drouin 1.5, 49 games, or 1.2 for Kiviranta, giving you 70 games and touching career highs, maybe blowing it out next year because he feels confident he's in this system. And I like, if I had to choose between the two, I would say Kiviranta over Drouin.
Ooh. I mean, just based on last year, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people would be in that camp. I couldn't try to dissuade that.
It's easier to predict what you're getting out of Kiviranta than when you're going to get out of Drouin.
That is true. I think so. I think that is true. We had a few people on subtext chime in. Kay says, no, I love Kivi's work ethic. He doesn't make many mistakes. He's similar to LOC in my view. His scoring has always been spotty, though, and it was pretty sparse this year with only 23 points. Okay, like I just said, look at his seasons before that. 9. I'll go backwards. Last year with the Avs, 9. Year before that with Dallas, 9. Year before that with Dallas, 7. In 2020 and 2021, that was the only time he had double digits in points, with 11. He had 26 points, or 26 games played, and 11 points. The year before that, he only played 11 games at 1 point.
Let me raise that for you one time. For all those that have criticism about his scoring, LSU had more points than Parker Kelly, Josh Manson, Sam Malinsky, Charlie Coyle, Brock Nelson, Jack Drury, Miles Wood, Kovalenko, Calvin DeHaan, Ivan, Parsonen, Shillington, Lindgren, EJ, VC, Middleton. Look, can I keep going?
I think we get the point.
Like, I get his scoring was sparse, but it was better than most.
It was. It really was. Madam Battleaxe. I think she missed. Oh no, she gave him a B. Played well, but I know he can give more production. I'm wondering how they will utilize him next season. If they utilize him next season, if they can bring him back. I don't think they change it. I think what you see is what you get from him. They don't need more. What else do you want him to do? He plays his role. He plays his position exactly how you want him to play it, and he gave it to you in spades this year with number wise career highs.
Yep.
Forget about the numbers and just how he plays. He does. He gives you he goes all out, gives you 100%, does all the buzzwords that you want him to do. I was more than happy with him this year. And then finally, Vargas says B+. Kivy is exactly what you want in the bottom 6. Pacey two-way forward who can chip in. I'd hope he returns to Denver.
Yep.
Vargar and I are on the same page there, man. Absolutely. So, yeah, man, happy with him. Really happy with his season. But is he one of those guys where it's like, what you got last year, don't expect to get that again? Or is it that, being a third year in the same city, no, expect that again? And I think that is a valid question to throw that up in the air of, hey, he had a great year. But those depth guys, it is a little bit, you don't really know what you're going to get year to year. So, and it was a contract year for him too. We talk about the contract years for the big wigs. Same goes for the depth guys. And those guys want to put up big numbers too. He did that. And now is he going to get paid more for his, his depth role capabilities? Yeah, he probably will. We'll see where, though.
If the numbers don't thrill you, his defense will thrill you. What he does without the puck will thrill you. His speed will thrill you. Like, he doesn't need to score. He could contribute. Where if one aspect of some other depth player's game is taken away, that's it. They're done. They're invisible. They're a ghost. Kiviranta can do multiple things, and it might not show up on the score sheet, but he is a lot more valuable. Trust me, you take him out of Denver, you will feel it, and it's going to be, oh, I wish we didn't get rid of Kiviranta.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. Like how we're talking about like Jonathan Drouin. If he goes somewhere else, he might not be like the same type of player. I think if Kiviranta goes somewhere else, he would be.
He's the new Erod.
He, no matter where he goes, he kind of just morphs into like, you would think that. I mean, he's only got experience with Dallas and here, but you're pretty confident wherever he goes, he can make that team better on the depth line. So
yeah, and he's going to be the new Eron or Nick Holden, where every time you would see him score, you're like, oh, I wish I could have held on to him.
So, all right, that's our thoughts on Kiviranta. Next up will be Arturi Lehkonen.
Ooh,
we'll get to him on Wednesday. So, but for tomorrow, I think we'll do right wingers for tomorrow. And then anything else that's going on in Avalanche Nation, we're going to talk about that for tomorrow's episode. But for today, thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow, where you're going to make it through another 24 hours. Sidney Crosby's that much closer to being a part of the Colorado Avalanche.
That much farther away from a Stanley Cup.